What's going on, Faith Chapel students? It's your boy, Chris, and we are so glad that you are here to be a part of our family. Now, if this is your first time joining us, we would like to say welcome. Here at Faith Chapel students, our vision is to grow young people up through God's word to reflect Jesus. We believe that you will hear something today that will help you reflect Jesus' character, power, and influence wherever you go. Now, to stay in the loop of all things Faith Chapel students, make sure you download the Faith Chapel app and also follow us at Faith Chapel Students on Instagram. That's Faith Chapel Students on Instagram, okay? Cool. Now, we're about to hop into today's experience, so let's prepare our hearts as we allow God to speak into our lives. Let's go.
Everybody, we're so excited that you guys are joining us today. We're just having this conversation about my friend is struggling with ... And we are on the second part of anxiety. And so we just want to just kind of dive in a little bit further, a little further. Just think about somebody in the Bible who could have potentially experienced some form of anxiety. And you know, it's really amazing and incredible that anxiety could have existed, not necessarily the word nor the terminology, but the experiences of anxiety could have been around a long time before we even knew the definition of anxiety, or put a name to it, right? And so we're going to look at a Bible situation that could have been a potential anxiety situation. I believe there are a lot of Bibles, situations, or a lot of people in the Bible who may have experienced a form of anxiety, and that, you know, as we talked about before, we're not alone. And so we're going to look at somebody today. We're going to look at a couple today who could have potentially been one of the ones to experience anxiety. So before we get started, I'm going to pray. God, we thank you. We ask that you draw people by your Spirit who just may need to be encouraged, or just may need to hear something that will help them. God, we thank you right now that your Spirit flows through me, that your words flow through me. God, that it's not my words, but it's your words. And so, God, I thank you that you think through my mind, speak through my lips. And God, I thank you for even helping those who may tune in, that they will hear from you. And God, I thank you for that now in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so we're going to kind of dive into it. So we're talking about my friend is struggling with ... and we're talking about anxiety. And it's, you know, I just want to continue to say this because I think it's okay to say, and I think it's very and is important for you to know as well, that it is okay to be not okay. It's okay to not be. It's okay to not be okay. And, you know, when I learned that I don't have to always have it together. I don't always have to get it right. I don't always have to hold myself up to this thing. I'm not always okay. I'm not all the time there. I'm not. And when I realized that it's okay for me not to be, then I was able to talk. I was able to communicate with people. I was able to cry. I was able to express how I was feeling, because it's bad to stuff stuff in, keep stuff in. Think about it. If you continuously eat, or you continuously put stuff on the inside, and you never let it out just naturally, you are going to get sick. And it's a potential that you could die if you don't get that stuff out of you. So it's very important to get it out. It's very important to get it out. I was listening to Dr. Anita Phillips, and so she's a trauma specialist, and she was communicating this particular YouTube that sometimes you just have to yell to get it out. Like, just yell to get it out. Sometimes you may have to get a pillow and just in the pillow. We're not talking about punching somebody's walls or punching somebody else or hitting someone else. No, we're not talking about that. But there are times where you just got to get it out. You may have to get up and go run. Just take a jog and go run and then just yell to the top of your lungs. It's just you getting it out. And it's very important for us to navigate and understand that it's okay for us not to be okay. And to understand this, that God doesn't leave us that way. So if I'm not okay, I'm a great candidate for God to come and help me. And if I am okay, I'm a great candidate for God to continuously help me. I'm a great candidate for God to be with me all the time, period, right? So you are a great candidate. I just want to encourage you with that. I want to also say this, remind us about this. Someone's sin is not the reason for their personal mental illness. Someone's sin is not necessarily the reason for someone's personal mental illness. And so we can't say, well, it's because of their sin that they're dealing with that. It's because, and Jesus, he mentions that in the New Testament where his disciples was talking about, hey, look, bruh, he dealing with this. Is he dealing with this because, is he blind? He dealing with a sickness, an illness. Is he blind because his mama sinned? He sinned? Jesus like, no. But what I'm going to tell you is because he's blind, you about to see the work of God's hand work on his life. That's what you about to see. And I believe that that's what's going to happen with us. We're going to see God's hand work on our life. Work in our lives. So I'm super excited about what God is doing with this particular series. And so people do not suffer because they are sinners. There's a lot of sinners that ain't suffering at all. They ain't suffering at all. They living what we would say their best life, so they think, right? But people suffer because they're human. And humans are susceptible to severe pressures. Humans are susceptible to severe pressures. Just think about your life. Or just think about pressures that are in the world. Just think about some pressures that are going on in the world right now. You got pressures of Ukraine. They got pressures. They got pressure going on from Russia. It's a real situation. Think about people who have to pay their student loans, and that they have a family, and your parents may have to repay their student loans in a little bit, but it's going to impact the household funding, right? And so that's a real situation. It's real that people have to navigate through. Pressure of someone, you may have a grandparent or your parent that may be dealing with some type of illness. That's pressure. Some of you all may be wondering, what kind of school clothes you're going to get this year because of the financial pressures. It's pressure, and it's severe pressures. And sometimes if we don't know how to handle the pressure, it can cause us to go into a place of worry or a place of anxiety or a place of not knowing what's going to happen. And that's what was going on back in the New Testament in Matthew, where Jesus had to talk to the people. He said, look, because they were concerned about different things. They were concerned about what they're going to eat. They were concerned about their clothes. They were concerned. And that's why Jesus, the backstory of that, they were really dealing in their mind. And Jesus said, hey, I just want to kind of ease your mind some, that if God takes care of the grass, and if God takes care of the birds, and you are far greater than them, how much more will he take care of you? Young people, see, you may be feeling like you have pressure to give in to friends or people who want you to do things that are immoral, or do things that are sinful, or get you into situationships, get you into stuff like that. And then you do it because you got this pressure on you, but you don't know on the other side of that, it's going to be even more pressure, because you're going to feel like, because once I do it, once I give in to doing this, what's going to happen is they're going to try to fool me to do it more, or I'm going to want to do it more. And so now you're going to find yourself in a whole nother situation, because now you are trying to either keep the mouths of the people shut, which they're going to say something anyway. That's why just don't give in to it, because they're going to say something anyway. They're going to already tell your stuff. They're about already told it to somebody anyway. So that's why you should go and stop. Because at the end of the day, don't let nobody else tell your stuff. You tell it. Then you ain't got to have nobody have nothing on you. You told it. You telling the situation. And even if somebody would come up to you and say, hey, I heard you did. Yep, I did. And at this point, I decided to stop. So don't come with me. Don't come at me with that no more. I did it. It was wrong. I should not have done it. So don't come back at me with it no more. So if you tell your own stuff, you ain't got to worry about nobody else telling it. So I just want to free you up on that. But when we think about anxiety, if we just kind of think about the first humans that God created, which were Adam and Eve, and is it a possibility that they could have experienced some form of anxiety after they sinned against God? Oh, listen, think about it. I mean, we talk about Adam and Eve, but just think about you. Think about you. When you know you did something wrong, you shouldn't have done it, and do you have this anxiety of your mama finding out or your dad finding out? Do you have some anxiety? Absolutely. So if you having it, and Adam and Eve were walking with God. They were walking with God. I mean, like, God was like having conversations with them. And then this situation happened. But let's just dive into it just a little bit more, y'all. So think about it. God was God. He was God. And I just have to believe that all the way from the beginning, in God's mind, he had Adam and Eve in his mind. Like, yeah, he just had them already. Yeah, this is where we're going. And so I believe that what happened was God was like, okay, I got to plan out this space for them. And so the first thing that he did was he created the heavens and the earth. Boom. Day one, God created that. So, because there had to be a place for them to land. It had to be a place for them to stay. And on that day, the earth was like, it was just not without any type of form. It didn't have no type of structure. There was no structure at all to it. And so God created light. And all he said was, light be. Boom. Light popped up in the space. Light showed up. And I just thought that was just so awesome. So God created light, made sure that they were able to have light. And he divided the light from the day and from the night. So you had the sun in the morning and you had the moon at night. God was thinking about these people, just like your parents before they had you. They were thinking about you for the most part. They were thinking about you. They were like, yeah, we gotta, especially when they found out that they were having you, they had to, get some diapers. They had to get some clothes. They had to get a car seat. They had to, they had to think about you. So I believe that's what God was doing. Then day 2, he created the atmosphere. He created the sky. He created, he divided there was this, the surface of, the vapors in the air and the clouds and all this. He created the air. He created the air so that the air was, able to, give the humans, so when they showed up on the scene, they would be able to breathe. They would be able to take some stuff in, and it would be some good, clean air, right? And then what he did was, on day 3, he created the land so that they can stand on. The land so they can stand on, and so that he can, so all the, there was just this difference. And so then on day 4, he created the stars and all the heavenly bodies. He created all of those things on day 4. God was just preparing for them, but I believe not only them, but God saw us way, way back then too. See, God can see the beginning and the end, and he can see it all. He's God. And so, and that's why he helps us to make sure that we follow him. And it's important that we follow him. And then day 5, God created all life that lives in the water and the sea. So he separated it, and then he created the life for the waters and the sea. He did all of this. And then on day 6, this is what, now the people, he said, let us create man in our image according to our likeness. And God gave them a dominion over the creatures. God created man. God created man. And he gave them dominion. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. That is God. So he created that. Think about it. He created all that. He had all these things prepared and ready for them. And just think about it. They were just set, just like you. When you came home from the hospital, you came home, your parents had everything set. They had a room for you. They had a spot for you to sleep in. They had some clothes for you to put on. They had some wipes to wipe your bottom, to clean you up. They thought about you. And God thought about them. And then in chapter 3, you see this conversation that the woman began to have with a snake. Man, some of y'all talking to some snakes, and these snakes are getting you in some situations that you don't need to be getting in. She was talking to the snake. The snake was talking to her, and she started talking back to the snake. And if you think about it, if it was just kind of cool that things were just kind of, it was just kind of a cool situation. Like the animals weren't eating people. The animals were not eating one another. It was just cool. The people, Adam was naming all of them and probably just kind of having a good time doing that. Just saying, God, look what I call such and such. Yeah, God, look what he was probably calling Dad. Dad, look what I call the raccoon, or look what I call the lion. Look what I call the giraffe. So just having this little cool little situation, this little cool vibe. And then God told, God placed in the garden the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And he said, don't eat from those. They're going to be in the middle of the garden, but don't eat from those. And some people, you have people saying, well, why did he even do that in the beginning if he knew he was going to eat it? Well, why your parents put their keys on the kitchen table, or put their keys on the dining room table, or put their keys in the foyer until you don't move their keys and don't drive? Right? I mean, you don't do it, or do you do it? and if you do it, then there's consequences. So God is God. He can put the tree wherever he wants to put it. Like your parents are your parents. They can put the keys where they want to put it. It's their house. It was God's space. It was God's. They were not supposed to touch God's stuff. He gave them everything else to touch. You can touch all this other stuff, but just don't touch that. I mean, no, he didn't say don't touch it, but he said don't eat from that. You can eat from everything else. You got all this other stuff, but just don't eat from that. And they did. Do you think it created some anxiety? Absolutely. Absolutely. To the point where they ended up getting leaves. I'm talking about leaves from a yard, leaves from the ground that God created to cover themselves, where they didn't have to do that before. And then they started hiding from God. See, anxiety does that. When you do things that you're not supposed to do, now you're trying to figure out, oh Lord, how can I get out of this? How can I hide myself? How can I be how can I cover up what I just done? How can I make sure that nobody else finds out about this? So you start trying to figure it out that you can't go to sleep at night because you're thinking, oh, somebody gonna find out about this. They're gonna call me out. They're gonna tell my mom. See, now this anxiety begins to start forming that didn't have to form, and then it starts causing you to stay up at night. It causes you to start thinking wrong, negative. Start causing you to have this overwhelming feeling, right? That's what it does. And so what happened was with them, they started doing that. And so when God showed up and said, Adam, where you at? Adam, where you at? Oh, I'm over here. Where? Oh, I was just kind of covering up because I was naked. See, the woman took the fruit and she ate it. Then the man, she gave it to her man. You better watch who you hanging out with. And see, all he had to do was say, no, I ain't taking that. Girl, what you doing? I ain't about to do that. That's what some of y'all need to be doing. I ain't about to do that. I don't care how close we are as friends. You ain't about to get me caught up in that crazy mess. No, I'm not doing that. See, but some of y'all scared to say something like that. And that's what Adam should have said. I don't care how fine she is or how fine he is. I ain't about to do that. No, I'm not sinning against what God said. I'm going to obey God. That's one of the things that caused them to get in a place of anxiety. And if you know the story, they got kicked out the garden. And then it was a flaming angel with flame standing at the garden so they couldn't get back in. I believe this is just my thought. But I believe God had to protect the tree of life. Because if they would have eaten from the tree of life, it probably would have been, they would have been living forever in a sinful state now. So We can't blame Adam and Eve, because what are we doing? We doing some stuff we shouldn't be doing. We're allowing some snakes to talk in our ears. So I just want to encourage you. Start paying attention to the thoughts that are going in your head. Write down every negative thought that starts popping in your head. And then I want you to search the scriptures and pull up the scripture that combats that negative thought. All right, so this we gotta win over this thing, because when anxiety pierces itself in, you gotta do something intentionally to make sure that you get that thing, get control over it, or start addressing it. That's the better word. Start addressing it. And you may have to get some therapy. And it's okay. Talk to your parents. Be honest with your parents. Talk to your parents. But you gotta start the process. Got the process. So write down the thoughts. Search the Bible. You go to Google to say you're having thoughts about being scared, fearful. What does the Bible say about fear? That's how you do it. What's thoughts about not being successful? What does the Bible say about success? All right, and then talk to your parents. Ask your parents if you can get a therapist, and start the process. Start the process. Because as Jesus told them, if God can clothe the grass, put some clothes on the grass, and make sure the birds are fed, how much more can he help you with anything that you're facing? And he uses people. Okay? God bless you. And we'll dive back in next week. All right? Talk to you soon. Bye.
What an amazing message we just heard today. You know, it's so amazing that God cares about young people just like us and wants us all to succeed. If you made the decision to give your life to Christ, we encourage you to text Faith Chapel to 94000 and press salvation. You'll also find more information about connecting with us, volunteering, water baptism, and more. To all our students who give, we just want to say thank you. Because of you, we are able to reach young people across the globe with the message of Jesus Christ. If you would like to partner with us in giving, please go to faithchapel.net/give to find the best option that suits you. Now, lastly, don't forget to follow us at Faith Chapel Students on Instagram. Look, guys, that's all I got for y'all today. Thank y'all for coming out. Those who are watching on YouTube, we'll see you next week. And those who are on Zoom, stay tuned, because now we will transition to our small groups. See you next time.